Okay, so I don't really have any qualifications, but I'm mad and I'm on the internet, so let's do this. So I just watched Neil Marshall's Hellboy, and boy am I hella mad. I'm a big Hellboy fan. Like, I have some of the comics, I have a first appearance issue, and for all their flaws, I really enjoyed the Ron Perlman Guillermo del Toro movies, and I gotta say, this new Hellboy movie just didn't do it for me.
Oh crap.
I want to start where I feel I have the biggest gripes, so let's start with the music. Unfortunately, this movie is suffering from a bad case of popular music that has no relevance to the scenes they're a part of. It almost feels like they weren't intended to be used, but they were shoved in at the last minute by some faceless studio executive as a way to give it a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, but the music is so shockingly different to the tone the movie wants to have that it betrays itself almost immediately. Okay, we're now entering spoiler territory, so if you don't want any of this movie spoiled, click here to the ending, where I give the rating. It's going there in 3, 2, 1, go. I'm not saying you can't have a well-known song in a movie at all. They actually do this really well in the opening where Hellboy's in Tijuana, fighting his buddy from the BPRD, and they're playing Rock You Like a Hurricane in Spanish. It fits the scene, it was a fun action sequence, and it all fit. But where it doesn't work is where you have some poppy song during every transition that they're in a moving vehicle. It really takes me out of the movie and it ruins any chance the movie had at setting a consistent tone. The Guillermo movies may not have been perfect, but they at least had a nice detective feel to them. It wasn't just, oh, here's the big action guy who's always doing action, yay! It actually made Hellboy feel intelligent, like he could actually piece together what's going on by himself or with the help of his friends. The other thing this movie fails at is in the story. There is zero hand-holding in this movie when it comes to explaining things. It might as well be Dark Souls because my interest was dying by the second. I honestly can't explain anything that happened during the course of this movie. There was a witch that got cut up and then almost immediately recovered, then Hellboy was King Arthur and Satan, a dude was a jaguar, a girl punched the soul out of some guy. Things were getting really hard to follow if you catch my drift. Now look, I love Hellboy, and I especially love the weird paranormal things he gets into. I like that he's usually a sarcastic, witty guy who's rough around the edges, and it's his primary personality trait, I'd say. There's always an underlying sense that he's a good guy, and he can usually see good in people and monsters when no one else can see it. It's his defining feature. But the way they had Hellboy in this movie, he was so mixed up and misused. It felt more like he was an angsty teen that was mad because nobody understands him, rather than a good man that his father raised. There was no love between him and his father either, because he basically sent Hellboy to his death early in the movie and he was like, oh well, walk it off when he got back. I thought that relationship was very off, because the relationship he had with his father in the Guillermo del Toro movies was much better defined and it felt more real. The whole time in this Hellboy movie, he treated his dad like a stepfather, and I don't think that's a good way for the audience to build a connection with him. When they finally killed him because it was convenient to the plot, I felt nothing, both because it didn't feel like it earned it, and because I knew that the girl who's basically an iPhone to the undead was going to channel him immediately anyway. This brings me to the characters, or the supporting cast I should say. They all pretty much sucked. You had Alice, whose entire character trait is, I'm a young person who can do way more than you give me credit for, and it leaves her feeling thin and unfleshed out. I honestly can't think of another personality trait she had, and I just saw the movie. Then we have Daimyo, who's a dick, and that's pretty much it. He's about to shoot Hellboy with a Hellboy killing bullet, but then he's like, nah, he's cool. Mila Jovovich is in this too. I honestly thought she acted like Liv Tyler in The Incredible Hulk. Really breathy lines, and every time she was on screen, things got really awkward and cringy. I will say Ian McShane was pretty good, even if he was playing a fairly unlikable character. But hands down, the best character was Lobster Johnson. Lobster Johnson, everybody. Thank God Lobster Johnson is finally in a Hellboy movie. Thank you, Thomas Church. As always, you were amazing. Best part of the movie to me. The other thing I didn't like was the costume design for David Harbour. I want to thank them for not making him a CGI nightmare, but at the same time, when you have prosthetics all over him, he ends up not looking real either. It's like a reverse CGI effect. We get too many scenes really close to Hellboy early on, and his costume did not benefit from that. Specifically the scene where Hellboy is back from TJ and he's filing his horns down because it's a thing the audience remembers from the other movies. The horns move in a way that really betrays their legitimacy. It looks like a rubber circle glued to his forehead, and after that scene I couldn't help but stare at them whenever the camera got close enough to make them look bad, which was pretty often. They were really proud of his terrible looking face. Oddly enough, I thought he looked much better in the Ron Perlman movies, and that was over 10 years ago. Now, it's not all bad. Here's some things I liked about the movie. The R rating was cool because it allowed them to do some really neat gore effects. And that's pretty much it. I went and saw this with my wife, and she got so bored she almost left the theater to do something more interesting. You have to understand, my wife has a very high tolerance for boring movies. She watches some I consider really bad, and I can openly make fun of them while she's watching them, and it doesn't deter her from enjoying it at all. But this movie had her going, "Yes or no, Frank?"
It's gotta be no, dog.
Now I know this is kind of short. I've never really done this before, so forgive me for not talking about every single scene in this movie because honestly, I just watched it today and I still can't remember exactly what happened. It's that much of a mess. So that's it for the first review. I had to get it off my chest, and all in all, can I recommend you guys this movie? No, I can't. But would I say go and watch it to form your own opinions on it? Also not really. It's pretty bad. I'd give it a 3 out of 10.